Hi, I'm Ron Schraiber. I'm from Southern California, now in the San Bernardino Mountains. I wanted to talk to you about the mass scapegoating of people diagnosed with mental illness, especially since Newtown and other types of things. Even the American Psychiatric Association admits that 96% of the violence in this society is done by people with no psychiatric diagnoses. And yet we're singled out in the legislation. But as I always say, I don't want you to get the wrong idea. I have really nothing against normal people just because they started World War I, World War II, dropped the atomic bomb in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, committed genocide against the Native Americans, and instituted slavery. I have nothing against normal people, but I wouldn't want my daughter to marry one. Now, and this is another thing. Why is it when you're in the hospital, you try to get the doctor or nurses to do what you want? They say you're manipulative. But when they try to get you to do what they want, they call it a treatment plan. Now, the thing is that psychiatrists have no ability to predict future dangerousness. This was in a brief by the American Psychiatric Association in the Tarasoff decision in California. And yet they lock up people on the basis that they say you're going to do something. Now that is called preventative detention, which we're not supposed to have in this country, although they still do it at Guantanamo, but there's always exception to the great American dream. Now, as it's been pointed out that the NIMH has discounted the scientific validity of the DSM. The previous editor, Dr. Francis of DSM-4, said it was in Wired magazine bullshit. You know, that was the term that he used, and yet who now is to determine who is mentally ill? Who is to determine that? As I said, they can't predict. It's a form of preventative detention. I'd also like when they say, well, let's have outpatient commitment. Well, we don't see it as a safety net, it's a drag net. When I was out on the street, we would see so-called people coming to help us. We called them the mind police and went the other way. And when they want to make it easier to commit with the network, California Network of Mental Health Clients, we did a study that found 47% of the people, due to the fear of involuntary treatment, would avoid going to treatment. But there were subsequent studies done by John Monahan from one of the big academics, as well as Duke University, Swanson. It showed over 4 sites, it was 33 to 46% of the people avoided treatment due to the fear of involuntary commitment. So this is something that they don't talk about. But it seems that our freedom, it doesn't matter. Let's have background checks on us, etc. Also, when you are, if you're placed on a 72-hour hold in California, 5150, you are not able to have a gun. I have no desire to have a gun, but for 5 years, what is the standard of proof for that? It's probable cause. It's the lowest standard. It's like what a police officer can arrest you or give you a ticket. In order to be convicted, you need beyond a reasonable doubt. But people that are psychiatrically labeled to deny their basic human rights, it just needs to be probable cause. Then if you go with the feds, it says adjudicated, which means a 14-day hold. That's, again, what they call a probable cause hearing. So people, it's not about guns as much about the dehumanization and the demonization of people that are diagnosed with mental illness. And it's up to the American Psychiatric Association that admits it has no ability to predict, that their DSM-5, etc., are bogus, that they cannot tell, what is actually a disease. There's no way of testing, and yet they lock people up. I'd like to end it with a quote by Judge Ferguson, who established probable cause hearings, and I prefer jail to mental hospitals. He said, confinement in a mental institution deprives an individual of his fundamental right to liberty. From the perspective of the person who resists this confinement, there is little to distinguish it from incarceration in a penal institution. The involuntarily committed individual does not view his detention as a kindly act of the state, which will inure to his benefits. Because the mental facility is authorized to administer drugs to him against his will, detention there might be considered more severe than in confinement in a penal institution. The one thing is that if you look the left, which is supposed to be in the forefront of human rights, this is Mother Jones. We should have, and I regret that I didn't organize more around this. This is their headline, Schizophrenic Killer, My Cousin. They've railed about all this stuff about mass murderers, and as I said, statistics do not bear out this dangerous stereotype. But we are convenient scapegoats. Remember that the gay rights movement in the 1950s, they called people who were gay, lesbian, they called them perverts, right on the front page of the New York Times. We have to organize. They only changed the DSM where being gay was considered a mental disease. Why? Because they disrupted the APA. They demonstrated it's not based, civil rights are not based on reason, they're based on whether you sit, like the physical disability movement sat in front of buses. They occupied the HUD building, etc. It wasn't just one person, Rosa Parks, who sat in a bus. It took 1 year of boycotting. And she herself, and I wasn't there, but several of you were, I think Leonard maybe, I know Jay was, probably Sally, David Oakes, at Highland. That's where they planned some of these issues. We have to start being more disruptive. Just being right isn't enough in this society. You have to cause the system some pain. You have to show them and delegitimize them. But I want to say that when we were holding hands in the circle, that healed me a lot more than their drugs, which I have to say paralyzed me from the neck down with Parkinsonism. But I like to think that I wasn't paralyzed from the neck up, and I'm still here. Thank you.